Hey everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish on the Movies. And we are just back from Chicago. And today we are going to review the Peanut Butter Solution. It came out in 1985. It was made in Canada and called a fantasy slash comedy, which it's neither, I don't think. A young Celine Dion provided the soundtrack, which I didn't care for at all. Our cat Bernie is meowing. I guess he doesn't like it or whatever. He's just back from the vet and he's
No, that's it.
complaining.
That's his review of the peanut butter solution.
Oh, well, that could be.
So don't. Whenever he meows, just remember that's his review.
I guess so.
Pay attention.
Anyway, I know that Celine Dion is immensely talented, but this music didn't fit this particular movie, okay? So,
That's your opinion, Sophie.
well, but sometimes well, I've seen little videos about particular composers who will watch or hear about the movie and watch
She
them
wrote
compose.
these songs specifically for this movie.
Well, I just don't think I don't like it. Okay, and if music's important to me, I think it usually enhances a movie.
If you don't think this music enhances the movie, you're insane.
So anyway, for a year, Marco has been trying to get me to watch this movie, and he asked me so many times. I wasn't even sure if it was a real movie or not. It sounded like a children's book where some kid solves a mystery and peanut butter is somehow involved.
In the poster, there's this really weird poster, which maybe I'll post that on this video. It has this random kid standing and looking out the window into outer space, and that you have all these random items that are floating in space. And so I thought that maybe he's going to travel to space on like a peanut butter planet or something like that. I didn't know that what the movie was actually going to be about.
So anyway, what I just said and what Marco just said, this movie is nothing like either thing. And there are a lot of plot holes, and like I said, the music was strange because it didn't fit.
The movie was strange.
There are three kid stars and half a dozen adults in the movie. So on to the story. Michael is an 11-year-old boy who has an older sister named Susie, who may be in middle school, and his best friend Conrad, okay? Their mother is away somewhere out of town taking care of some kind of family business, and their father is an artist at home. One day Michael walks by this dilapidated house where homeless people hang around. Feeling bad about them, Michael gives one of them, an older man, all the money he has. Apparently, according to Susie, his sister, that was all their grocery money for the week. The next morning, Conrad tells Michael that dilapidated house burned down during the night and it killed all the people inside, which probably included that older man who he gave money the day before. After school, Conrad and Michael walked by the house, and Michael climbed up into it, where some of it was still standing. I mean, it wasn't all in ashes on the ground, there was some part left. And something was so frightening inside because he actually went into the house. And he flew out the window, and I mean, flew like it was like he was shot out of a cannon. It didn't look like he ran and fell out. It looked like somebody threw him out the window.
And his hair looked like it was supposed to look like he had like extreme goosebumps, but it looked like he was in like an explosion or something.
Or he was electrocuted.
Yeah.
Or hit by lightning. Yeah. It was all standing on end. It was really. And he actually had, since he flew out the window and hit the ground really hard, he was temporarily unconscious. And this is the beginning of this bizarre story. The next day, remember, his hair was all standing on end. Well, it's completely gone. He has no hair left. And he won't go to school now because he's embarrassed at being bald. After his family found a wig and glued it onto his head, and it looked fine. He felt all right about going back to school until during an after school soccer game, one of the opposing players ripped off the wig, and everybody started making fun of him and laughing and chasing him. Well, he went home and he was very upset, of course, and during the night, two ghosts appeared to him, and one of them included that homeless man he gave money to. The other one had a recipe for baldness that would help him regrow his hair, and it's a concoction of, guess what? Peanut butter and dead flies and a bunch of other ingredients. But they warned him that if he added too much peanut butter, the problems would ensue. But I don't remember them saying what those problems were. And it's not a concoction that you drink. It's something like paste. It's thick, and you apply it to your scalp. And if you apply it to your scalp, your hair will regrow.
That's like a kids movie cliche,
Yeah.
like a kid isn't allowed to do something and he doesn't know why it would be bad, and then he does it and then he finds out why it's bad. Like
Yeah.
that's a really cliche thing.
And yeah, because whenever somebody says don't do something, they usually go ahead and do it. And so, but I won't say what happened, but there was a mishap with that first batch, and he never even got it on his head. So he's still bummed out, and the ghost appear again the next day or whatever and gave him the recipe again. And after that, what happens is just a whole lot of weirdness and plot holes. Marco, go ahead.
What do I say about this movie? What do I say about this movie? I don't know what to say about this movie. Okay, I talked about this in my revision, which is done extremely well, by the way, surprisingly. Uh, it's very easy for me to watch a movie and then go, oh, I would redo this and do it this way, and kind of like rewrite everything that isn't good. But this movie is very, very odd and very strange, but it's not like in a bad way. It's just it it has it had intentions of being like really good and helpful to kids. Like the whole message of the movie apparently from the director is that things aren't as scary when you actually know what they are. Like when you rationalize your fear and you figure out what it actually is, it's not as scary. And that just does not come across. Because an example of this is there's a Kipper episode where they go camping. Are you falling asleep, Sophie?
No, I'm not.
They go camping and they're in a tent and they get really scared because there's this huge giant monster crawling around outside. But then they figure out that Tiger left his torch, his flashlight outside, and it was shining a light on this caterpillar, making it appear like really big.
I'll say.
And so they find out that basically like their fear of this huge monster was stupid, and it was just a caterpillar. And so that's what this movie was trying to do, and boy does it fail. This movie is an epic failure if you're thinking about it from what did it want to do. This is not a kids movie. That's the question we were supposed to ask. Is this a kids movie month? Turn off your phone, Sophie. Is this a kids movie? I don't think it is. I don't think this movie is meant for kids. I don't think this movie is meant for adults. I don't know who this is meant for. I mean, it's a good movie. It's like a cool, like unique kind of like an odd thing. that you just watch uh, sometime if you want something different, but it's not a kids movie. What would you agree that it's not a kids movie, Sophie?
No. I mean, yes, I would agree. It's just
Why is that?
my whole diagnosis of the movie that it was weird.
It's got
And
lots of pedophile themes.
I
There's
don't know about
there's a
that.
doctor in the movie. His name is Dr. Epstein.
Well, just the problem with it, there's just too many big plot holes. There's one major one. I can't even say what it is because Marco wants to do a spoiler alert about it. But you can't. If they would have oriented the movie in a different way and solved some of those plot holes, in fact, well, I guess they could have left. They could have repaired that and kept that part
And
of the
there's
story,
lots
and
of
it would have been okay.
there's lots of stories in this movie, and they don't really connect. Like in the
Yeah.
beginning, it starts off as one movie, and then it turns into another movie and another movie. It doesn't really connect.
Maybe like 3 or 4 movies.
Yeah, 3 or 4 different movies, and all of them are okay. Some are better than others, but overall, this movie has some flaws. And really, I mean, it's not for kids. You don't want to show this movie to kids. There's lots of kids who actually saw this movie, and they go on YouTube to watch the movie again as an adult, and they're like, I had nightmares about this movie. I couldn't remember if this movie actually existed. I was surprised that it did exist. Like, really strange. This movie is it's kind of like it should have been a horror movie.
Yeah.
I said this in my rewrite. I said if I was to rewrite this whole movie, I would make it a horror movie because it is not a kid's fantasy comedy. The comedy elements are good though. I like the comedy in it. But there's some weird stuff too, such as the sister. It's really weird how she's like taken over the mom's role and how she's like wearing her mom's clothes and she's doing their taxes and she's like on this bed upstairs that the dad sleeps on, like really weird stuff. And I'll talk about that more in my analysis, but very weird choices. And then you have the Senor. Do we even want to talk about the Senor?
No.
Because
I think we sh-
he's in this movie. He's a great character. If you wanted to make a movie about a horror movie about, I don't want to go into any more detail, but he's really creepy. What? And he was based on the director's like grandfather, and it's not the fact that he was creepy, but he was very mysterious to this boy, and so that's what the character's actually based on. What would you rate this movie, Safi?
Okay, well, I'm kind of suffering right now. I got food poisoning when we were in Chicago, and so we had like, how many meals did we have? 4 or 5 meals out of restaurants that were like DoorDash in. Well, one of them was I ordered a bunch of shrimp, which I really like. It was batter fried shrimp, and it came with this cocktail sauce, and um, I ate one of the. Well, I got a shrimp and I dipped it in the sauce, and I ate the whole thing, but the sauce was horrible. And even though the shrimp was pretty good, and if I would have had a decent sauce, I would have eaten all of the shrimp. But I just ate one, and Kroger actually is my favorite cocktail sauce so far. It really, for me, it's really delicious, and it's always been delicious, and it still is. So, it did have some kind of horseradish in it, which all cocktail sauce has. I believe it's kind of a real spicy stuff, and that's what's in wasabi. So that's a lot of horseradish sauce, but in cocktail sauce, it's like a hint of it. Anyway, it just wasn't good, so that's what I would give this movie. a bunch of good shrimp, but then the sauce is so bad because it tastes more like just crappy ketchup with a hint of horseradish, which is a bare hint. That it just I couldn't eat it, any of the other shrimp. So that's what I would equate this movie to. If they had oriented the movie in a horror way, because there were some things that if they just made a little bit of tweaks and added a little bit of story, that it would have and changed the music.
No, keep the music.
Well, I don't know about that, but still, if they'd made a few more, if they had made some tweaks, like use Kroger cocktail sauce, but I don't think they have Kroger up in Chicago. Um, it would have been okay for me. It would have been more palatable. So how about you, Marco?
I would rate this movie 4 different types of crackers with sardines on top of each one.
Huh?
I was thinking about foods that kids don't like, maybe really odd foods that like people might be scared to eat. A lot of people don't like sardines. They don't like the smell. They don't like the texture of the bones, but I really like them. They're kind of like a little treat,
I do
and
too.
and they're fun to have like once in a while. And you have those on each type of these crackers. And so you have one on top of a Ritz cracker. And that represents how this movie started. It's like this kids comedy movie about about his hair and the peanut butter solution. And then it just goes on from I'm not going to explain the rest of them, but the next one is wheat thins. That's the next one, and then the next one after that are graham crackers, and then the next ones after that are saltines. And all of those crackers with sardines on top of them, that's really what this movie is. It's a bunch of different stories, a bunch of different ideas that don't really mix. And so that's this movie's biggest issue is it has all this stuff that doesn't mix. It's like it should have. I mean, this movie's about a peanut butter solution, but they can't even mix all these stories together to create one movie. And so I think this movie is due for a remake. I think that this movie is one of those movies that should be remade because it failed. You don't remake movies that are good. You remake movies that are failures.
Yeah.
And although I really like this movie and think it's unique and different and cool, I do not think that it is the best that it could be.
No.
And I think that my rewrite was better than the movie, to be honest. And
so anyway, you'll have to listen to
our spoiler review.
But you also should listen to the video, well, the podcast, whatever you want to call it, that Marco made about how he would rewrite it.
Yeah.
That is probably really worth a lot to listen to. So, everybody, if you liked it, press like, and if you want, it'd be nice if you could be a subscriber if you're not already.
Yeah, please subscribe to our channel so you can see more of our these types of videos. And in our spoiler review, we'll be talking all about this movie. Spoilers, Dr. Epstein, Wonderland, the rabbit, the fox, and the people, the random homeless people who are standing on street corners cheering you on if you ride a bicycle like you're in the middle of Rocky 2. So we'll be talking about that all and breaking it down in the next video. Goodbye, everybody!